Javed Rana is joining us now to brief us on the latest developments from Pakistan. He's a journalist based in Islamabad. Good morning, Javed. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Now, Imran Khan, the former Prime Minister, has been booked under the Anti-Terrorism Act at a point when opposition against Khan is rising. Now, can we safely say that the charges against him are authentic and could result in his arrest?
Well, the charges against the former Prime Minister Imran Khan are obviously politically motivated. It doesn't make sense when anyone who says that he will take a legal action against the judges, against the top police officials for not providing justice to his close aide. It's a perfectly legal because he is using the word of legal action, which means that whenever his government comes into power, all these officials would be taken to the task legally. So any legal action against anyone cannot constitute as terrorism charges. These are obviously politically motivated terrorism charges. It does not make sense for the former Prime Minister has not threatened to blow up the government building or any powerful official. So these charges, frankly speaking, legally speaking and politically speaking, these charges don't make sense. But this indicates a wider conflict between the former Prime Minister and the current pro-US government on one hand, and on the other hand, the former Prime Minister and the powerful military. And for the first time, I've seen that a political party, a mainstream political party, has taken on powerful military, which is known to be making and breaking governments. Yesterday, he directly accused by using the word of neutral to the military. This neutral term he uses against military establishment, and he said that actually it is not the current government which is involved in the crackdown against his activists and the party leaders and against him, but it is the powerful military which is controlling everything in Pakistan, and that his charge, frankly speaking, going by the track record and going by what we see on the ground, makes a lot of sense. The military has been allegedly controlling the civilian government from behind the scene, the civil administration, and there are also severe allegations against the powerful military in the past that a judge had accused that the military and its intelligence agencies were trying to control the judges. So I think Khan's allegation actually smacks of a very dark political reality in Pakistan, that it is a country's powerful military which plays a very critical role in shaping up the political dispensation. But the trouble this time around is that the traditionally military which used to make and break governments, this time around their calculations, I would say, have simply collapsed, because they never thought that the former Prime Minister Imran Khan, who was unpopular at just weeks before being removed from the power, he has now become popular leader, the most popular leader, because he has managed partly stoke anti-American sentiments in Pakistan. Partly, there is an unprecedented price hike. People thought that after his removal, the prices of the commodities would come down. But after his removal, the prices of the common commodities have multiplied. This is one factor. And then another factor is that the current dispensation, the government, they are perceived to be pro-US and perceived to be what many believe is thoroughly corrupt. So the public perception among people is that corrupt political leaders have been imposed upon people, and because of which there is a new wave of misgovernance, and it seems the current government, backed by the powerful military, has terribly failed to manage everything that they should have managed as a government.
Okay, I just want to go back to you highlighting the use of the word terrorist to describe Imran Khan. Now, this is, you actually said that it was rather nonsensical, and I think I agree with you there. Is this something that we've seen previously on the political platform in Pakistan, or is this just something that's being used to try to slander him further?
Well, again, another dark reality is that this has become culture in Pakistan. I mean, the political parties, they blame each other and they registered fake terrorism charges. And the former Prime Minister Imran Khan's government, when they were in power, they were also accused of similar things. But this time around, the scale at which these, I would say, fabricated charges have been framed, that appears to be somewhat unprecedented, because you cannot frame somebody on terrorism charges when he is threatening you of taking a legal action, because he is not saying that he is going to send terrorists to kill these police officials. He did not use those kind of terminologies. But I think the real factor is that the government is very scared. The government is very, very unpopular. The former Prime Minister has been putting a lot of pressure to hold early general elections, and the government knows that if they hold fresh general elections, that means they will certainly lose general elections. We have seen on the ground, going by the by-elections, going by all the election results, by-election results, the former Prime Minister Imran Khan's party appears to be very popular, and they are making their political presence felt. And I think more trouble is in his relation with the powerful military. Military is very, very unhappy with him. Military never thought that the former Prime Minister Imran Khan can stoke public resentment. And another reality in Pakistan is, as pointed out by the members of the former ruling party, I mean the party of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan, they are saying that the military establishment has become unpopular for playing its role, controversial role, in American regime change agenda in getting this government removed, getting his government removed. Now we have to see that anybody who thinks that any government can be brought in power or can be ousted from power without the military's active support, I think he would be living in fool's paradise. The dark reality in Pakistan is that in April this year, the military allegedly played its role in removing this government by supporting a controversial no confidence motion, which the former Prime Minister blamed that his MPs were purchased, the loyalties of his allies were purchased, and the Americans were behind it, and American allegedly used the country's powerful military and the coalition government. He used different terminologies from the historical perspective to actually blame country's powerful military chief that he has committed treason to be on the side of the Americans and by being on the side of the current government. The military obviously felt very upset that these are the allegations which are not acceptable. Behind the scene, there were a lot of politicking, a lot of negotiations behind the scene between the former Prime Minister and the military representative. But I think those meetings, those negotiations, invisible negotiations, did not produce any result. And that is why now we have seen a lot of crackdown against the activists and the key leaders of the former Prime Minister. But I think what is more alarming is that since this time around, the public support is huge in favor of the former Prime Minister. If military resort to any action through police or through using this civilian government, I think it would further backfire, and that would not bode well for the very integrity of Pakistan.
Okay. All right. Now, Khan's aide, Shahbaz Gill, is currently in jail, and Imran Khan has said that he's being mentally and physically tortured, but hospital reports have proved otherwise. So there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding his arrest as well. Can you take us through his current situation, just briefly?
Well, we have to see the allegations from both sides. The government says that actually he's making up allegations. He was not tortured. But there are credible reports, and some of the officials of the members of the former ruling party, I mean the members of the Pakistan.The, the party of the former Prime Minister, they have accused that the Shahbaz Gill, the close aide of the former Prime Minister, was in fact molested. He was tortured. I think my understanding of the situation is that he was sexually abused. There are credible allegations that we have heard, but I think the extent to which that he was tortured too much, there may be an element of exaggeration in the allegations, but I think the fact, it seems that he was sexually abused, he was molested, going by the allegations of the former Prime Minister's party. I think these are the serious human rights violations. These are generally tactics by the country's intelligence agencies in the past. We don't know at this point of time how far these allegations are true, but these are very serious allegations, and the former Prime Minister and his party has been demanding an independent judicial commission, which the current government is not willing to constitute. And more importantly, we need to understand as to why the close aide of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan was arrested. There was allegations that he was trying to stoke mutiny within the powerful military, and that was an alarming sign. I would say that I have heard him, what he said. He said that the military officials did not listen to the illegal orders from their superiors. It is again, you cannot accuse somebody if he is stoking mutiny within the military, because there were similar orders by the Supreme Court of Pakistan in the past to all military officials that they should not listen to the illegal orders from their superiors when it comes to taking over the civilian government in the past, or maybe arresting anyone, because there have been also allegations against the military in the past and its intelligence establishment that they were involved in forced disappearances in Pakistan. So in a broader picture, I think the net loser in this ongoing tension, this political conflict between the former Prime Minister, that the net loser is Pakistan military, because they have been managing everything behind the scene, and now there appears to be colossal mismanagement, or you may call it miscalculation, in terms of who should govern Pakistan. They are reluctant to pressurize the current government to hold fresh general elections, because it is very easy for the military to hold fresh general elections. There are allies of the current government who more listen to the powerful military than anyone else. The day they decide that there should be fresh general elections, I think then this government cannot resist that kind of pressure or that kind of political tactics that military generally plays behind the scene. But let me tell you that coming days are very important for Pakistan. In case this crackdown continues, my understanding is there could be possible violent reaction in Pakistan. There could be possible riots in Pakistan. And remember, the former Prime Minister's party is having a government in two provinces, Punjab, which is the biggest province, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is another province bordering with Afghanistan. Between these two provinces is a federal capital, Islamabad, from where I'm speaking right now. In case people start coming over from two provinces, Islamabad capital, which is a very small city, it would be sandwiched. So they cannot prevent people to lay siege of this current dispensation, which is hugely unpopular.
But thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always a pleasure having you on the program.
The growing tide of anti-Israel sentiments. What you see behind me is just tip of the iceberg of what is happening in the country. More than half of $52 billion black CIA budget is spent on espionage network in Pakistan. How would you handle it?
The US has looked upon Pakistan as an ally at one point, and then as an enemy at the same time.
That is going to be the first legal reason on the basis of which he is going to be instantly ousted by the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Joining us live, Javed Rana, who's an expert on politics and geostrategic issues.
In the world politics, which is not being driven by any moral principle, it is being driven by the hard geostrategic realities. In a broader picture, more countries would aspire to have nuclear weapons.